When you think of the landmarks of Chinese culture in Vancouver, you might think of the Millennium Gate, the Sun Yat-sen Garden, or you might remember that really skinny Jack Chow building. We want to take you to a few places that are part of Vancouver Chinese cultural heritage which might not be so obvious at first glance, namely the Chinese language theaters of the late 20th century. Now, what do we mean when we say Chinese language theaters? They are theaters that played exclusively Cantonese and Mandarin movies 7 days a week. If you wanted to see the latest Star Wars movie, you had to look elsewhere. These theaters are still around. Well, kind of. The buildings and the signage are still there, but not much else. You can wonder what happened over there and what remains of the sometimes intangible culture. Let's follow the signs and the voices of the ones who were there. The Shaw Theatre on Main and Hastings opened in 1971 and is now known as the Rickshaw Theatre, a concert venue. The Golden Harvest, just around the corner on Main and Cordova, opened in 1974 and is now the Imperial, another concert venue. And over on Broadway and Commercial, there is the Golden Princess, which opened in the early 80s. It's now known as the Rio Theatre, which is still an independent theatre, though it no longer plays Chinese language movies. To find out more about these theaters, we decided to go on Reddit, specifically the Vancouver subreddit, and ask people what their fondest memories of Vancouver's Chinese language theaters were. The response was overwhelming and quite varied.
My fondest memories there were the concession stand, where they sold lots of Hong Kong-style treats like beef and pork jerky, pork fluff, and boxed Vita soy malt drink.
I remember loving the slightly sweet popcorn, dried mango snacks, and Chinese ice cream bars in mango, coconut, or red bean flavor.
I remember being allowed to buy drumstick ice cream cones in the summer. This was when Western theaters only sold popcorn and pop, so it seemed extra special to be able to get an ice cream cone while watching a movie.
One common theme was family. On Reddit, we received a lot of replies about going to the theaters as kids with their parents, aunts, and uncles.
I remember watching double features, with my mom always falling asleep throughout the films because they were some type of martial arts movie, because my dad's a Tai Chi master and loves watching that kind of thing.
My uncle would drop us off, my mom, aunt, 2 cousins, and myself, and then pick us up after. There was usually a feature film, plus a second film that you could watch for free if you wanted to go earlier. We always watched both movies.
Someone talked about their dad giving crucial advice on picking the perfect seats. Some of us might say the best seats are in the middle since they've got the best view, but no, this dad in question says it's the aisle seats near the back. If there's a fire, you'll be out of the theater before anyone else. Going to the theaters was for entertainment, and it was fun watching martial arts movies, romantic movies, and ghost movies. And for some people, that meant going home and having terrible nightmares. Ghost movies weren't the only frightening genre. Many kids at the time were scared, or rather scarred, by another type of movie.
I'm still scarred to this day, remembering watching a prostitute ride a fat rich man with surround sound as a 10-year-old.
This is where I would become desensitized to violence in movies, after witnessing blood-spewing, decapitating heads in kung fu swordplay movies.
If someone tried to bring their kid to see an R-rated movie today, they would be stopped right away. Back then, the attendants seemed to turn a blind eye to youngsters sneaking into R and X-rated movies.
One time, my father and his friends who were the same age took their children and I to the Fox Theater to watch a 3D kung fu film I forgot the name of. Of course, at the time, the Fox was a porn theater, so it was, say, a slippery experience.
We were fortunate enough to sit down with Linda Tsung, the director of Vancouver's Chinatown Storytelling Centre, about her memories of visiting Vancouver's Chinese language cinemas.
When we immigrated, we were sort of the first generation of Mandarin speakers who immigrated. Right. So we came in the early 70s. So when we came here, predominantly the the community was Cantonese speaking.
Yes.
Right. So when we went to see a Mandarin movie, the theater was pretty empty because it wasn't a Cantonese movie. There's a very different audience for a Ling Qinxia movie versus a Jackie Chan movie. Well, the theaters, for some reason, felt stickier. Like they just weren't as clean, from my memory. Right. And that may actually well have to do with the fact that, and I say stickier specifically, is that the movie theaters in Canada are based on Western movie design. So they had carpets. Right. And so carpets get sticky, but in Taiwan, I don't remember carpets. Ending up playing tag in the lobby with a random kid that you don't know, right? Because he or she got dragged there for the same reason. Right. We all got bored, and we end up playing tag in the lobby, and you don't know this person. You'll never see them again. But hey, it was great playing tag with them for like 15 minutes. I remember there being a concession stand because I remember the woman standing behind it, right? And I think, I have a vague memory of popcorn, but we didn't know what the hell that was.
No.
Because popcorn is a Western thing. So at the time when we were going to movies in Taiwan, movie theaters in Taiwan didn't really have concessions, right? It was literally a room. You go in, you watch a movie. The concessions were all in stands outside the movie theater. So you get street vendors selling you stuff that you would then take into the movies. So we were always used to, if we brought food into the movies, you brought food into the movie theater. You didn't buy it at the movie theater. Yeah. Right? So that's what we were used to in Taiwan. And then we got here, we can't afford it. So we always ate in the movie theater, but we ate whatever was out of my mom's purse. Because that was culturally what we were used to doing.
Right.
We weren't trying to sneak food in, or whatever. It was just, that's what we always did.
So, eventually, these theaters died a quiet death in the late 80s and early 90s due to a number of reasons. First and foremost, new Betamax and VHS technology and the rise of rental shops allowed people to watch Chinese movies from the comfort of their own home at an affordable price. At the same time, Canada got its first Cantonese language TV channel, now known as Fairchild TV, which had a similar impact on these theaters. Some people also blame the rising price of parking and the general decline of the downtown east side as other reasons for keeping moviegoers away. Obviously, today in Vancouver, you can still watch Chinese movies. You can stream, torrent, and pirate movies to watch at home, and occasionally one of the big box theaters may play a Chinese blockbuster. More significantly, you can check out the Vancouver Asian Film Festival or the Vancouver Chinese Film Festival, which take place every year. So if we can still watch Chinese movies, why should we care about Vancouver's old Chinese cinemas? Well, to answer that, we need to talk about intangible cultural heritage. Culture isn't always traditional, historic, artistic, or steeped in deep meaning. Culture can be fun, boring, entertaining, sad, uncomfortable, or seemingly trivial. There's no official heritage plaque for the excitement of sneaking into adult movies with your underage friends at the Shaw Theatre. There's no textbook that can explain how awesome it was to see Bruce Lee destroy his enemies with a pair of nunchucks at the Golden Harvest. And no statue can explain how it felt to reconnect with your homeland while your kids run around with their new friends in the lobby of the Golden Princess. If you want to find intangible culture in your own lives, we suggest you do the same. Talk to your friends, family, coworkers, talk to elders, peers, and even little kids. Share your stories and listen to other people's stories as well. Share funny stories, sad stories, and even embarrassing stories. Intangible culture is everywhere, but we can't see it unless we share our memories and experiences with those around us.